let's go over to our first little thing. This will be just real quick. Um, I want to talk about other stuff today, but this is going to be one of the things that I wanted to start off with. You can see right here, Wikipedia is still not on the market. How about you get out of here? Thank you. I do not want to donate. It's called Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Okay. Aditya L1. Now, what is this thing? Well, for those that are listening, you're looking at a new spacecraft that was launched into space recently. I feel like this is just 99% space stuff like that. I feel like I don't talk about sports enough, but I don't know. I talk so much about space, but today we have some other stuff, not just space, but I just wanted to touch on this just so that you are aware of kind of this mission. So it is a you can see right here in this image to the right, it looks almost like a panini press with its arms out to the side. And those arms out to the side are solar panels, and at the bottom it has a long antenna. That's the best way I can describe what it looks like. All right, so what are the objectives of this thing? It's a coronography spacecraft for studying the solar atmosphere, designed and developed by the Indian Space Research Organization and various other Indian research institutes. And the reason for the L1 in the name is because it will be orbiting at about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth in a halo orbit around the Lagrange point 1 between the Earth and the Sun. At that orbit, now it's still orbiting around the Earth, but it's just very, very far away, kind of in a fixed position, similar to the JWST. The JWST is also at a Lagrange point as well, which just means it's super far away from the Earth, in a orbit that's locked in still with the Earth, but it's just very far away, 1.5 million kilometers. Okay, so it's going to let's go over to the mission objectives. I assume that they should have some pictures and some data coming out soon. We'll talk about uh, some of the news, but this is a mission that is basically to observe the dynamics of the sun chromosphere and corona. So a chromosphere is the second layer of a star's atmosphere located above the photosphere and below the solar transition region and corona. Okay. And the corona, it's the outermost layer of a star's atmosphere. It consists of plasma. So this is, if you remember a while ago, the Parker Solar Probe actually came in contact with the corona of the sun because it was orbiting close enough so that it was able to hit it, and you could look up videos of it actually coming in contact to the plasma. It's very, very, very cool. Right. So yeah, to observe the dynamics of the sun's chromosphere, to study chromospheric and coronal heating, the physics of partially ionized plasma and of coronal mass ejections, which could take us out, and their origins of the coronal magnetic field and heat transfer mechanisms and flare exchanges. One of the things I'm interested to see is to get a little bit more information about coronal mass ejections, because that is one of the things that here on Earth in our lifetimes there's been some things, but there's never been a major emergency level like coronal mass ejection from the sun where it potentially harmed people here on Earth, thankfully. And if there was one, unfortunately, nothing you can do with our current technology. But if we get our stuff together, if we between nations try and figure this thing out, potentially if there was one in the future, and even maybe a later version of this, because I don't think it's going to take 20 years for us to get our stuff together, but maybe in 500 years or so, maybe we will be able to detect solar flare before it is launched at our Earth, and then we can kind of come up with some way to, if one does, even by without us noticing it at first, even if one does come out from the sun, if there is a coronal mass ejection, which are very dangerous to life here on Earth, but one of those comes out and hits us, then this new technology that we develop can help to save us. That's that's what I hope. That's what I hope. But thankfully, we do already have some protection in our magnetic field around our planet. I've talked about this many, many times before, but the northern lights are caused by not necessarily a massive coronal mass ejection, but it's kind of similar because it's particles that are sent by the sun here on Earth, and then the reaction between those two um, is what causes those northern lights because the signal from the sun is, or the particles, I should say, the particles from the sun are hitting the Earth's magnetic field, are getting looped up and around, and then hitting towards the top and bottom of the Earth. In this case, the basically the North and South Pole, but depending on there's a little bit of variance there. But yeah, so that's kind of it. So hopefully with this we can kind of start to detect and maybe understand a little bit more coronal mass ejections. Primarily is what I'm interested with here, but coronal heating, I mean, yeah, very cool as well. Also, it is used to observe the physical particle environment around its position. Very, very cool. And then to determine the sequence of processes in multiple layers below the corona that lead to a solar eruption. And finally, to study space weather and the origin, composition, and dynamics of solar wind. Yeah, so you can kind of go through and see here. These are the Lagrange points that I was talking about earlier. So this is going to be right here, basically in front of the Earth. I think L2 is where James Webb is at. All right, so you can see all the different stuff that's on it, all the X-rays and solar low energy X-ray spectrometer, X-rays, digital manometers. Here's the launch, flight sequence. Boom. You see all this stuff right here. And cool little animation right here. That's actually really cool. Oh, that's cool. I don't know how they I don't know how they do this, man. This one on the right, or this one on the left right here that you can see is them actually going around the Earth, trying to gain speed each and every single time, trying to boom, push out a little bit more, but while using the Earth's gravity as well. So it's not just one continuous burn the whole time. Then they kind of get out here, they fire off, then they get to this point all the way out here, go up. This is the Lagrange point. There's nothing that's orbiting there. They just want to be out towards this direction. And then they kind of loop around, come down. You can see their speed right here. Boom. And then they're just going to start orbiting around that location. So, I mean, I don't know how they even do that, but here's that Parker Solar Probe that I was talking about. Very, very interesting. So, kind of some new stuff here, some news about it. They got its first high energy X-ray glimpse of solar flare. So they actually witnessed a solar flare. That was November 7th, and obviously nothing's happened to us. We're still chilling. And then here's some other stuff, mostly just about the mission towards we get to the bottom right here. So just very quick, just a very kind of not very detailed description of this particular mission, but it is something that I do think is kind of keep your eyes on, and maybe if you do see some news stories that come about particular solar flares or coronal mass ejections that are observed, which I definitely will be on the lookout for, you kind of know maybe what viewed it and kind of know what exactly this is.